What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the latest episode of the Youre Still Here podcast. This episode of the podcast, believe it or not, is brought to you by, but not brought to you by, Taurus Personal Air Conditioners. Are you one of those people living in a constant state of sweat? Do you find yourself walking into a Foot Locker for a few minutes just to get yourselves a few minutes of air before eventually continuing your journey onto God knows where? Are you about to embark on a dreaded August trip to Europe where they value a clean ass with a bidet over fresh 70-degree room temperature air conditioning? If so, you're probably going to need the Taurus Mini air conditioners. I got them right here. There's 3 different varieties. There's the waist air conditioner, the personal mini air conditioner, and then the one that goes around the neck. And if you're thinking, oh, what, you're just buying those mini fans? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Fans just blow air at you. These actually blow cold air. And how do I know this? Because I didn't just purchase the back air conditioner, which literally goes around your waist. It goes on like, Batman's belt. But I got all 3. And I also just got back from Europe. You remember last year how I told you that hotels, they turn down air conditioning on you? I don't know if they do it here, but they definitely did it there. You go out for the day. When they come in to quote unquote clean your room, they're actually on a mini mission to turn off your air conditioning. They do that in all the rooms. Well, this time I came prepared. I wasn't going to let them get me again. Europe's stingy air conditioning practices, or should I say malpractices, they weren't going to stop my ass from sleeping nice and chilled the way I like. So what I did was I obviously cranked their air conditioners to my unacceptable levels because they max it out. There's a max temperature that you can put your air conditioner on in terms of how low it can go. It's like 74 degrees. That's as low as they'll let you put it in many of these places. So what I did was I surrounded my bed with multiple air conditioners. I had one next to me. I had one mounted to the lamp above the lamp, and it was just like I can put it wherever I wanted. And I had all these air conditioners shooting down on me and also indirectly making the room temperature actually cooler. We got it down to like 71. We got an extra 3 degrees out of these personal air conditioners. I mean, look, if you're asking me if I'm going to wear these out, like, are you just going to act like fucking Steve Urkel or something like that? You're going to act like so. Yeah, if I was on vacation with friends and we were going to clubs and we were going that route, absolutely. I'm not wearing any of this stuff. I'm going to fraudulently act like I'm a young, cool guy. But if I'm going on a walk in Dubrovnik, if I'm walking those Dubrovnik Old Town walls like I'm a member of the Night's Watch in 92-degree heat, you better bet your ass I'm surrounding myself with I'm hooking air conditioners up to every single part of me, and I'm looking like Mr. Freeze. That's what I looked like when I was walking around Old Town Dubrovnik. I looked like Mr. Freeze with all these machines blowing on me. And if you hear this right now, that's not a sound I edited in. That's the belt that you can either use on your back and it just shoots nice cold air up your back, or right on your disgusting gut and it shoots it up the front of your t-shirt. When I was walking around, I looked like Mike Madonna skating. I had my shirt blowing in the wind. And if you ever watched 90s hockey, I don't know how he did it, but Mike Madonna, his jersey was always flapping in the wind as he skated. I feel like he cut his fight strap or something like that. But I had that. You hear that? I had that. Yeah, there's level 3. Mounted above my bed, shooting right down on me. So if you find yourself staying at one of these Airbnbs that I think they've borrowed Europe's practices, I don't know if you've seen about these real Airbnbs that max out what you can set the air conditioner to. I've seen some be as ridiculous as 78 degrees. That's a real thing. So if they're going to do that, no worries. No worries. Just drain the electricity from them the other way. You plug in all these mini air conditioners and then don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Literally, you won't be sweating it. If you want, you'll wake up like Jack when he fell out of the tight. Well, maybe that's not the best reference because he didn't wake up, but you will have those blue purple lips if you so choose. So Taurus personal air conditioners, they worked wonders for me. And maybe they will work wonders for you. And Taurus, if you are out there, this is how it should go. This is how advertisements should go. You get one free one because I actually enjoy using your product. Now you should pay for the next one. I'll run it out there every single time because they did work well for me, and I'm going to add them to the rotation. I mean, look, that's how I am. You guys know my life. It's screw job, prevent, defense. You know, I actually saw a tweet on this very recently. I saw it as I was in Europe, and it made me feel good. Well, scared me a little knowing that, wow, well, this is way too on point once again. I already told you in that other episode where I had a little bit of a rickety shoulder, and then I immediately saw the advertisements for the shoulder pillow. Well, I started complaining about the heat, and then I saw a viral tweet that went something along the lines of, Europe is a third world continent with great advertising. And then everyone went nuts in the replies. You Americans have to be pampered from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. And what I'll say to all those people is this: I'll agree with you as long as when the situation is reversed, you refuse to set that AC at 70, that's fine. But when we get to my time, when we get to January and February, you better not set that heat to 70. You better set it to 65. Because if you're all about saving energy and don't be wasteful, then it better go both ways. You know that, oh, if you don't want me at my best, then you got to take me at my, whatever the hell that thing is. If you don't want that 70 put on the thermostat in the summer, then you better not set it to 70 in the winter. No. Just admit it, Europeans. You run cold. That's what it is. But if I go there, if it's 66 in the winter, I'll say I'm a coward. But now I'm going to have to just do that spiteful return in kind of January and February in multiple hotels just to see what they have it set at. If you're not shivering in a hotel, then you shouldn't be sweating in a hotel. There should be what I like to call, and what we all like to call, room temperature. I told you in another episode when people were debating which season is the best place to live is the place that's the closest to room temperature year round. And that's the bottom line. So with that said, I went to Europe, and you know, when I was on those Dubrovnik walls and I was like Mr. Freeze with all these machines surrounding me. And then people, you know, maybe they snicker off to the side, but secretly you know how jealous they are because why? I see them fanning themselves. And you know what I love? When you see someone fan themselves and then there's always that second person, like on Thanksgiving, the person who just tells you turkey makes you tired. He doesn't tell you that when you eat a random turkey sandwich from Subway in February. No, but on Thanksgiving, he tells you turkey makes you tired. Well, there's that guy who leans in and tells you, you shouldn't be fanning yourself. That actually makes you hotter. Oh, that's right. Me fanning myself, creating some semblance of a breeze, definitely makes me feel hotter. Then basking in the heat, that's made me feel so uncomfortable that I started fanning myself to begin with. That definitely is good. You know what? You're right. I should just sit here and bask in this sweat. That's a complete scam. Not the scam of the week, but it is an absolute scam. The people who tell you fanning yourself actually makes you hotter. No, it makes me feel a lot better, even if only psychologically. So you may notice I am a little bit tanner. I just got back from Italy and Croatia. It was that classic, that summer refresh and restart, reload. Or for many of you people out there, like that meme I recently saw, you come back from vacation in the summer with the renewed, refreshed, reinvigorated hatred for your job. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about it because that's what we do here. We do things, we learn things, and then we tell you some things. And then when you go back to Europe a second time, you know to stack yourself with a bunch of air conditioners. So what I did, this was mainly a trip to Croatia, but the way I did it was we landed in Venice, took a ferry over to Croatia, went down the coastline, ended in Dubrovnik, then took a quick plane to Milan, stayed in Milan for about a day and a half, then flew back to the United States. So it was a day in Italy, Croatia, then a day in Italy. So, we were bookended by, a day and a half in Italy. So we land in Venice, and if you've never been there before, it's a pretty wild airport experience. Like, in order for you to get to your hotel, at the airport, there are docks. Like, with your baggage, you go to these mini docks at the airport that eventually will take you to your hotel. You got to get on public water taxis or order a private water taxi, and you're lugging your luggage on these boats. And then there you are, off to your hotel. Venice is one of those places, like, there are so many things that you don't really think about until you're there, and you're like, oh yeah, what do they do with that? Oh yeah, what does rush hour look like in Venice? Are there a bunch of angry gondoliers? Do they have, and by the way, gondolier is one of those words that you say a grand total of 0 times for multiple decades throughout the course of your life. Then you go to Venice and your gondolier, you ever see some of those Google graphs where there's a term nobody searches and then there's a massive spike, thousands of searches, and then immediately goes back to never being searched again? That's what the word gondolier will be in your dictionary. You've never used it before. Every corner, people are talking about the gondoliers, the people who operate the I called them they're like mini mimes. They have those preposterous striped shirts. I think some of them have the handkerchief around the neck. The only thing they're missing is like a baguette and a beret. So yeah, the gondolier. So when you're on the taxi from the airport, the water taxi, to wherever you're staying, you're passing things along the way. And one thing that I never really thought about that I noticed was we passed a boat with just a bunch of boxes on them. And then I was like, oh yeah, let's say it's Amazon Prime Day, which just happened, like a week, 2 weeks ago. And you want to order a bunch of stuff, and you live in Venice. You live on 161 Altoid Avenue in Venice, and you order a 65-inch TV that you found on semi-scam Prime Day that you could have got the same exact savings at Best Buy, but they try to convince you it's a big it's a fake / markdown. Then some guy has to put it on a boat and boat it to where you live. Because I passed one of these like little DHL boats, and there are just packages and packages and packages. And do you think like some of these boat operators absolutely despise Americans living in the area? Because us. I mean, if we need Colgate toothpaste, we're doing same-day Prime delivery. And I'm lying, because nobody orders Colgate toothpaste. You need that Crest 3D, you're same-day delivering it. I have a hard time believing that same-day delivery is just baked into Prime. Like, I feel like I should have when I was there, I should have ordered something to the hotel, because I feel like there is an exclusive like same-day gondola rate that I didn't really learn about. But it was in and out of Venice for me. Like, the whole point of it was landing there because I knew I could take this ferry over to Croatia, where I was going to spend the majority of my time. So we took a ferry at 5 p.m., but that left us a whole day in Venice, essentially, because you check out from the hotel at 12, and then you have 5 hours to kill. So you want to know what I did? I did the chalk move, but a non-chalk version of it. I did the gondola ride, because at my hotel, the one that I was staying at, we had a private like pier or whatever dock. Because if you have to go out there into the mess, into the mayhem, and fetch down one of these, ready for the word, gondoliers, I mean, that's a nightmare. That's like flagging down an Uber on New Year's Eve in New York City when they kick you out of all the places at 1 a.m., despite the fact that the night before it was open at 4 a.m.
Another scam.
That's like a scam reminder. I always got to remind you of old scams had you not watched an old episode of the show. But we ordered a gondola, like an hour-long gondola ride, and they picked us up directly from our mini pier, so I didn't have to deal with any of these tourist savages. And we got on there, and I told the gondola guy, I'm like, look, I don't want to be stuck on like the Venice version of the 405 at rush hour here, okay? Take me to the side streams. Take me through the hood if you really want to. As long as we're avoiding big crowds. And do you imagine that, by the way? You want to talk about ridiculous concepts? Is there a bad area of Venice considering it's all water roads? What would that even look like? Would the water start feeling like the Hudson River? Would it start looking like that? Would it look like that? Have you ever seen videos of where the North Sea converges with another sea by Denmark, and because of the salinity, they actually can't cross each other, so there's just black water next to clear water. Is that what it would be like if you went to the bad area of Venice? I don't know. There was no bad area of Venice, but this guy took me down random side streams, like very quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Legitimately, maybe I'll post the video and just allow the silence to play. You could hear a pin drop down these side streams.
It really is this dead silent.
So that allowed me to start talking to this guy. This guy spoke okay English. I speak okay Italian. Parlo così così, ma non bene. But through the two languages, we were able to communicate enough. And I'm so happy that we had a little conversation, because I told him I was from New York. And then he says to me, oh, my whole life I waited to go to New York. I'm going to New York in October and I cannot wait to see. What are you thinking? Guy, Italian guy, never went to New York, said he's always wanted to go to New York. He's always wanted to see ... Let's say there was a Family Feud board right now, number 1, ding, Statue of Liberty. Number 2, ding, Central Park. Number 3, ding, I don't know, family members and little, I don't know. What do you think this guy said? If this was a Family Feud answer, you know how the Family Feud board is supposed to add to 100, but if you add all the numbers of the answers actually given, it's always around like 96, meaning 4 people gave absolutely bizarre out there answers. That's what this guy gave. This guy said, I can not wait to see the firehouse from a Ghostbusters. And I swear to you, I almost fell out of this damn gondola laughing. This guy has been waiting his whole life to see the firehouse from Ghostbusters. Now, you only have to look around to realize I'm obviously a big Ghostbusters guy. I mean, I like Ghostbusters too. And I let him know, I'm more of a Ghostbusters 2 guy, but I respect and appreciate those Ghostbusters nonetheless. Look, I got the trap right there behind us right now. So when this guy said that he was waiting his whole life to go see the fire, I mean, I almost want to meet him when he comes over, because I need to see his look of disappointment. I mean, the firehouse from Ghostbusters, that's going to be there it is. Looks kind of different. Now what do we do? But man, that guy threw me for a loop, and you never really know when someone's going to get you like that. The last thing you're expecting to hear was what that guy drilled me with, and it was absolutely hysterical. So it was a rather successful gondola ride, if you ask me. Maybe the last one I'm ever on. So after Venice, we take the ferry over to Croatia. I have family in northern Croatia, so we spent a little bit of time there. And the way Croatia is, it's essentially a whole country that's on the coast. So we went down the whole country, all these beautiful, crystal clear beaches down the whole way. And when we got to Split, which is kind of like halfway down the country, we got a private boat. There was just 2 of us, and we ordered this private boat with a skipper and all. We got on there. He took us around all these islands, because when you go to Croatia, I guess it's kind of like Greece in that there's all these affiliated islands, which are even more beautiful than the coastal towns, if you're into these sort of things. So he took us to this one island where it has great wine, and you pull up to the dock and drink wine there. And then you go to another island. There's this cave you go swimming by, and then another island. And then we got to talking to this guy, because you know me, like, yeah, that's all good and well. I want to know some things. I want to hear some stories. I want to have some tales to tell. And I asked him, how many people normally are on this boat when it gets rented? And he goes, 8 to 10. And I said, so when you got that itinerary today and you saw there were just 2 of us, you knew you were kind of getting an easy Saturday. And he laughed a little bit and he said, yeah, but that's not always what happens. And then I obviously got fascinated. I immediately wanted to know, what was the worst situation for him? What is the least ideal? And with them, I guess it kind of goes by countries. There are certain groups from certain countries. That means they're going to be in for a long day of boating. And For what it's worth, and this isn't surprising to me, he said Americans are very ideal in terms of like renting a boat. They don't throw too many monkey wrenches in there. It makes sense. We're not part of that EU. You know, we get in a certain amount of trouble. You know, we could be in a serious pickle, but when you're in one of those EU countries, you go from country to country. You don't even really need a passport. So there's a certain level of, I don't want to say invincibility, but you know, you're at home while not being at home. And the group, when he told it to me, it was not surprising at all. British bachelor parties. And I was like, of course. When I think of the most rowdy, do you know in your life, I know one person like this. Maybe you know one as well. There was a point in their lives, they drank so much, you couldn't even discern if they had been drinking that day. Their regular speech starts to kind of sound like their drunk speech. And then you can't even tell. Maybe he had like 2 drinks. Maybe he's wasted. Maybe he hasn't even started drinking yet. And that persists even after they're done with that phase of their life. If they're in a phase where they don't even really drink anymore, they still sound like the semi-drunk versions of themselves. That is every young British male to me.
Good morning, Glenn.
They always sound like they're pre-gaming for a Manchester United game. They're just waiting for the next big England game to start. The Hurricanes on fire! Oh, Hurricanes on fire! They're in a permanent state of that. And I was not shocked at all. And I'm like, give me a story. Tell me something that one of these I was thinking like, you know, just jumping off in the middle of, I don't know, maybe where they weren't supposed to be in the water as the boat is going full speed. I'm thinking of what did they do? And I just mentioned that you go from island to island. So they told me, the skipper, that I almost want to call him something else, the boat guy. The boat guy, hey, what do you have a problem with authority, Andy? You don't like calling gondolier operators gondoliers and skippers? No, just with skipper, I think of like Gilligan's Island. You know, I need some fat old guy like that saluting me. Anyway, the guy who operated our boat, the young Croatian skipper, he took them to get lunch on one of these islands, like pulled up right to the dock. And he said after they ate, these guys ordered a ton of spinach from the place to go. And these places in Europe, they're not like the U.S. You can order spinach in an American place. Say, hey, I really want a bunch of spinach to go. They go, all right, no problem. To go is no big deal. They're very intrusive over there in Europe. Like one place I didn't really like the meat. So I had a little bit of it and I ate the gnocchi and I left a lot of the meat. And he goes, like, what's the matter? The guy wouldn't allow me to get the bill until I ate some more. He literally told me, he's like, you have to eat some more of that. So there's a whole different, they're very intrusive. So these young Brits, this bachelor party, asked for a ton of spinach. And they said, look, we can't tell you, but we need the spinach. So they purchased a bunch of spinach. And I guess this place, you know, begrudgingly sold it to them. And they brought it back on the boat. And how about this? A boat of 10, 11, 12 British guys. And now they have a bunch of spinach. What was the purpose? Are you from Europe? Let others know in the comments what was about to happen. Because as somebody who's been to bachelor parties, somebody who grew up with scumbags, somebody who's seen a couple things, people kind of push those boundaries. I am very confident in saying I have never seen anything remotely this disgusting. I went to the Netherlands. I went to Amsterdam for one of my friend's bachelor parties. A sex show was attended. Random, disgusting sex was happening right there. Why did I go? I have no clue. I guess it's just one of those things, you know, when people say they're going, oh, you gotta go. Why am I here right now? So I saw that. But that pales in comparison to shoving a bunch of spinach up the best man's ass and making the groom eat it out of his ass? What in God's name is that?
Rocky.
What kind of bachelor party behavior is that? No stripper. No, the stripper came and ate it out of the... Oh, in Amsterdam, there was a story with a banana and a stripper, and I'll leave it at that. But a boat of guys to just shove a bunch of spinach up one of these drunk Brits' ass and make the other guy eat it. All I can say is, thank God that wasn't secretly filmed and posted anywhere. Let's hope that one was on the disappearing Snapchat, because if that one ever got out there, the true salad talk. Hey, by the way, at least in Europe, they value bidets. Hopefully there were plenty of bidets in use before the trip out there, but something tells me, oh God, that's gross. But there better not be any video of that, because that thing would go just about as viral as this Coldplay kiss cam thing. And I know you guys know what that is. I don't even have to ask you if you saw that, because everyone under the sun saw that within 24 to 48 hours. That is that random CEO of a company who took like the HR girl from his company, or an executive at HR from his company, to a Coldplay concert, got caught cheating on his wife with her there. And this woman looked like a Skeletor gym teacher. So he's now losing his attractive wife for this Skeletor gym teacher who's probably not even going to, I think she was cheating on her husband as well. And they got caught on the Coldplay kiss cam. And if you think that's bad, it certainly is. But I know something that's even worse than that. I know a guy. It was the guy I know, and I was shown this. The guy I know, it was his roommate in college at the time. He caught his girlfriend cheating via Google Maps, the Google Street Cam, the street car, the street view of your house, when he searched his girlfriend's house. And why was he doing that? Lord knows, probably had nefarious purposes of his own. But when he did that, he saw this girl a few steps in front of her front door, holding hands with some guy walking out of her house. That's how he caught his girlfriend cheating on him. And the girl can't even lie. No, that's before we met, because it has the mini date of when the cam was there, or what date that's being referenced in the Google Street View or whatever that thing is. So she couldn't even lie. She got caught cheating via Google Street Car. And that is some bad luck, because there's no way out of that one. That Coldplay guy, as many people have stated, all he had to do was play it cool. He could have kissed her right on the cheek. He could have hugged her even harder. He could have given her a rear naked choke. Nobody would have thought of a thing. But because he ran away, just watch the scene Johnny Depp walking through the airport and Blow. Just walking, bam, Betty, bam, bam, oh, just nothing happened. It wasn't me. Believe it or not, I actually had a similar scare once. I was at a Jonas Brothers concert, and I almost got caught. But it had nothing to do with cheating. What I was doing may have been worse than cheating to the audience in attendance, because I had noise cancellation headphones in while I was at this Jonas Brothers concert. I believe I even there was a video of me entering a DraftKings lineup. I think I was choosing between Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk, and I was making DraftKings lineups while this concert was going on. Now, can you imagine that kiss cam? It was going around the arena. I'm like, yeah, I have good screw job radar. It's why I live my life playing screw job prevent defense. I thought there was a likelihood I was going to be on there. I was low enough where I was in plain sight of people. I wasn't all the way up there in the audience. I was close to those damn Jonases. So I thought that they were going to see, someone was going to see me with those headphones in. And let me tell you something. A guy cheating on his wife to the crowd is way less sickening than a guy who's bringing noise cancellation headphones to do the one thing that nobody in the audience would ever do. Not listen to the guys that they came to see. That was basically a big FU to everybody in attendance. Me doing everything but listening to the Jonas Brothers. But I am very happy that I did that, by the way. I am so happy that I brought my noise cancellation headphones to the Jonas Brothers concert, because I took away from that experience. I realized how effective it was, because there was another experience where I had to utilize those same headphones. And yes, this is more glaring evidence that I am an old piece of shit, figuring out where I need to take noise cancellation headphones, because I hate the decibel level of what's being played over the loudspeakers. And I went to the F1 movie and wore headphones. Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes, really.
Because I vowed that after the Nosferatu debacle, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that, I went to see Nosferatu a couple of months ago, and it wasn't playing at one of those IMAX theaters. I don't know what this theater is called. There's like an SFX. It's a something theater. You can look it up. Not IMAX, the other one. Basically what this theater does, this experience means we're blowing out your eardrums. That is the name of the theater. We're going to blow your eardrums out theater. And that's what I went to for Nosferatu. I've never heard anything like this even my brother, everyone, you essentially had to watch the movie covering your ears. And I decided I'm never going to go through that experience again. And even if I think I'm going to be fine, because the F1 movie that I went to see, it was a regular theater and everything, wasn't a horror movie. I'm like, let me just bring them just in case. And boy, did I need them. Even regular theaters now are just beyond blasting things. When Pitt was in one of those races, if it was dialogue, maybe I would take them out. As soon as it was time to hit the tracks, those headphones were going in. And don't mistake it and think like, oh, but then did you struggle to hear? No. You heard them still pretty loud, but at least at a very acceptable level that's not going to blow out your eardrums. So that's what I did. I bring my headphones are always going to be on me. You're never going to see me. They're right over. I always have them because you never know when you're going to need to screw someone trying to screw you. Just like with the air conditioners, whether I'm in theaters and I need those damn noise-canceling headphones, or I'm in Europe and I need an extra 3 air conditioners, I'm like Inspector Gadget of screw jobs. You're going to screw me, I'm going to have a gadget to prevent that screw job from happening. So that was me in Europe, and that was me at the F1 movie. But that guy cheating on his hot wife with the old gym teacher, you know he's about to get screwed. He's losing half of everything. He's never going to be able to do this, that, and the other again. He's a disgrace. And I got to say, he's definitely in a worse situation than most because, like, Shannon Sharp, I don't know if you saw, I think he just had to pay millions and millions and millions to some OnlyFans chick. Okay, he's still making millions with his podcast. He could DM another girl tomorrow, start from scratch. Everything's going to be fine for him. But this CEO guy, he is a CEO. But I don't know how many of these Skeletor gym teachers are going to be waiting for him in the future, but he's going to be screwed, but not as screwed as somebody else, because that brings us to our scam of the week.
It's a scam.
That's a scam.
What a scam that was.
So this was all a scam, huh?
The Scorned X scam. And we have talked about many times, mostly in jest, certain levels of screwing with your ex, mostly in a playful manner. There was the classic, put her on the marketing list. Nobody likes getting that random phone call that after you block it, you get called from a similar number the very next day, but just one digit's different, and then you have to block that one, and then you have to keep blocking these numbers that come in. That's a little funny. Ha ha, isn't that annoying? So that's level 1. Then level 2, a little bit more aggressive. Maybe you sign them up for a school. You put them on a school's interested list. You sign them up for some, online university. What's that? What is it, like New Mexico University? What are these fake online schools that probably are better bang for your buck than the quote-unquote real ones? But you sign them up for some online university, maybe some vague interest in the armed forces. They're going to hound you as long as they legally can. And then there's like the level 3, what I thought was the end-all, be-all. You really need to screw your ex because they've screwed you. You put them on that Scientology mailing list. Scientology doesn't give a rat's ass if they take it as a personal insult if you choose unsubscribe from all emails. If you unsubscribe from all emails on a Monday, you're getting twice as many on a Tuesday. So I thought that was the end-all, be-all, but no. There is something way worse than this. Something way more diabolical. And that is something that actually happened. I don't know how I never heard about this, but I researched it and it was absolutely real. This guy, I think in Chicago, who bought a car and registered it under his ex's name, only to bring it to an airport and just leave it there, allowing it to amass $100,000 in fines and parking tickets. And right now you're probably saying, yeah, but they probably went to court and the guy ended up paying for it. No, that's not what happened. While the guy ended up having to pay a few thousand for running this whole screw job, that's one of those, oh, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. The woman was still liable for the overwhelming majority of it. And while they did come to some settlement, she still had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for something she had absolutely no idea about or any involvement in. It seems kind of crazy that she had to do that, but just know, if you're in an awful place in life and you want to literally be the most petty person known to man, I guess you can register a car under someone else's name and then just have them have endless tickets, which will ultimately suspend their license. And then, I don't know, when they get checked for something, there's going to be a warrant for their arrest. Because in many states, if you don't pay your stop signs, for example, your license gets suspended, and then there's a warrant out for your arrest, which is a pretty crazy thing. So that, my friends, is quite the diabolical scam of the week.
It's a scam.
Now, before I left to go on my R&R summer vacation, I had to get a bunch of things. Those classic bunch of things you have to get before you get on vacation. You know, you got to get a bunch of clothes that you don't even end up wearing while you're on the vacation or after the vacation. Have to get a bunch of those. So I went to the mall, and the store that I wanted to go get some clothes at, I needed to walk through a Dick's Sporting Goods. So it was like a shortcut. I cut through this Dick's, and I almost got hit in the head with a lacrosse ball because kids were having like a full-on mini lacrosse game in the store, just using the stuff from the aisles and playing. I remember being a kid. If you even dribbled that basketball once, on the first sound of a dribble, someone was coming over. The Tomfoolery police was immediately dispatched to stop what you were doing. That employee was coming over, and he was ceasing your basketball dribbling. Now, there is nothing of the sorts. It's lawlessness in there. I mean, I saw people, I think they canceled their gym membership because they were running full-on supersets in the gym area of this Dick's Sporting Goods. They were taking 45s off, putting 45s on. They were doing deadlifts. They were power lifting. Nobody comes over and says anything. And why am I bringing this up? I really don't know, other than showcasing the societal decay Ra's al Ghul frequently referenced before attempting to burn down Gotham.
Only a cynical man would call what these people have lives, Wayne. Crime, despair. This is not how man was supposed to live.
So, went there, got those clothes, didn't end up wearing them. They're still brand new in my closet right now after I even already came back from Europe. Another thing I had to do before I left is withdraw a substantial amount of money for something. And I imagine you're thinking, what do you need all this money for? Well, it's none of your damn business. Just know it's production related, it's show related, it's also enjoyment related. And I don't mind telling you what it is. I will eventually tell you what it is if I choose to. If I want to tell you why I had to withdraw a fat stack of cash, I will do it. But it is my choice, the way it should be. But for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go to withdraw your own money from the bank, you have to tell the bank why you're taking out your own money. That's the thing. I guess that's a real. Now, I've never really taken out fat stacks of money, not very frequently, but I needed to. And once again, I will tell you why, at my own discretion, when I feel like the time is right. But there's an area, as you're withdrawing this money, you have to tell them the reason. And you know me, you can bet your ass they weren't getting the answers they were hoping for. What they wanted to know, oh, I'm investing in this, that, and the other. I'm hiring a... No, you want to know what I'm doing? I'm actually filming my own version of a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. I wrote there, I am filming a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel where Freddy Krueger comes back, and rather than kill, he wants to steal everybody's money. And while I know you're not allowed to use real money in shooting films, I'm a method actor and my rehearsals require real money. So I need to take out $18,000 and rehearse Freddy Krueger coming to take my money. So that more or less was what I put in the description. That now has to be input into a system. Now, maybe they just said independent film or he needed it for... But I'm happy to know because these people don't deserve to know. You don't need to know. You hold my money. When I need it, I take it out. Thank you very much. That's how it's supposed to be. And the reason I bring this up is I want you guys to participate because this is a really funny concept. If you had to withdraw money, now I know none of you have any money, but let's say you have any money to withdraw and you need to take out $18,000. and there's reason, and you had to write a reason. Give me some of your best fake, ridiculous reasons that you're going to tell the bank because they don't deserve to know the truth. So what answers would you give them? Give me your Nightmare on Elm Street. Give me my friend bet me $1,000 that I couldn't come up with $18,000. It can be the most ridiculous thing. And the beautiful thing is if you comment that, A, I probably will enjoy it. There will probably be some funny answers. And B, then that fulfills your quota and doing those quote unquote things that I asked for that help me out. Like what, you ask? Like the show, comment on the video, or even if you're listening somewhere, you can throw that like. You can still subscribe on audio platforms. And always remember, the video episode is available on both YouTube and Spotify. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these on those platforms and those audio platforms. And with that said, that brings us to the end of this episode of the show. There will be more episodes. I'm home from the trip. I got a semi-tan. By the time I film the next one, it will probably be gone, but you'll still be here. All right, take it easy. I will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you then.